think I took your book too personally.
Did you?
Oh. It was like all the bad things I did right from the second I woke up
Oh, no.
to the second I went to bed. I was like, oh my God, I single-handedly destroyed the planet myself just today.
Well, no, that's the last thing I want is for you to be overwhelmed. And that's why I always start off each chapter depressing the hell out of you, talking about everything that we're doing wrong, and then going into the solutions section. Because, you know, we can remedy all these things. And I do believe that while everything around us has an environmental impact, that we're not aware of everything from, you know, the toothpicks to our sex lives. It's all got some kind of impact. I do believe that every little action we take to remedy that makes a huge difference. I mean, small things like just a toilet paper roll, changing, if every Canadian family just changed one toilet paper roll to recycled instead of using the boreal forest for those 2 minutes we're in the washroom, we'd be saving 48,000 trees. And so you start to think, oh God, you know, what can I do to change the world? You know, it's too overwhelming. But the truth is that every little thing you do does have an impact, does help things. And so that's why I always say, I recommend that people start with 3 things. You know, don't start thinking that you have to go cold turkey overnight and give up everything in your lifestyle, because, you know, the last thing I want you to do is just to be paralyzed with, you know, grief and guilt. Pick a target that feels manageable. You know, if you feel like, okay, I drive 5 days a week, you know, let me start by taking transit 1 day a week and say, oh, actually, you know what, I'm not cursing at other drivers in traffic, so this doesn't feel so bad, actually. And then you build up from there. And I think that the only way to do it is in manageable steps like that. So, and the thing is that, you know, I don't expect people to read the book cover to cover. If you do, you might drown yourself in tears. But no, I mean, I think people should flip through to sections that feel relevant to them at that time. If you're looking at, you know, renovating your home, if you have a new baby along the way, you know, you can just flip through those chapters and read them one at a time. I think if you read it start to finish, it can be a bit overwhelming. But, you know, at the same time, I try and do it all with a sense of humor. You have to give me that, right?
Yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, that's what kept me going.
Good.
Was that sometimes it was just downright laugh out loud funny.
Good.
I'd hit
great.
something and I'd go, ah! She's taking the subject seriously, but she's not taking herself seriously doing it.
That's the key, yeah. Because, you know what, we've got to laugh while we cry, you know, otherwise what's the point? I mean, I was raised in a household that laughed constantly. And, you know, we were always, especially my father, he's the king of corny jokes, and, you know, exposed us to a steady diet of Mel Brooks and Woody Allen movies. And so I think I have no choice but to keep cracking jokes, even though the topic can be kind of overwhelming. And so I think that's something I try and do in the book, to just, you know, keep the pace going with, you know, a positive attitude, because, you know, negativity isn't going to get us anywhere. If you think that there's nothing we can do, the end of the world is upon us and we're screwed, well, you know, most people will actually just stop and say, well, what's the point, you know? But I think if we keep reminding people that, you know, we can make a difference, that's the only way to move forward, really.
Give me 3 things to do.
Okay, when you go to the grocery store, you might not be able to buy organic all the time, but one thing you want to do is, you're standing in front of a bunch of apples, and you want to look at which ones come from Ontario or your home province or whatever, and you want to pick that over the one from New Zealand. And we often don't even think about it. We're like, oh yeah, I guess look at the Fiji apple or this apple, without ever looking at the label. And then you wonder, why did this apple have to come from 6,000 kilometers away? And then when I bite into it, it's mealy anyway. It totally sucks. So why did I buy it? But we don't put 2 and 2 together. That's a really easy one. If you can't afford organic, then at least be looking for the local. Now, what about your water bottle consumption? Do you ever buy water bottles?
All the time.
For every bottle of plastic, every water bottle that's made, they're using virgin plastic. So even if you recycle your water bottle, that's basically going into making carpets and stuff. Carpets, you know, potted plant containers. It's not making more water bottles.
Oh.
They use virgin petroleum every time. And so 1.5 million barrels of oil go into making water bottles alone every year in North America.
Ouch.
Yeah, and so it's really a small thing, you know, but really get a reusable water container. So, you know, those are 2 things you can do. And, you know, even small things like plastic bags. Everyone knows we should be using cloth bags. Do you?
I have some somewhere.
But now
I forget, because it's like I just forget to.
Yeah, but you know what? My boyfriend forgets too, and so I don't assume that everyone in my life is holier than thou either. He'll come home like, I'm sorry, I forgot to bring a cloth bag. I brought home plastic, and you know, I tell him, and I have bought him like 20 different cloth bags so he can have one in each pocket of his coat, and that's what I would say to anyone. Just get tons of them so that you can have them everywhere. Throw 2 in the trunk of your car, you know, have some at the office, have some in your coat pockets. And the truth is that we use about 200 plastic bags a year each. And that's a lot of plastic again. So those are, you know, 3 basic starter things you can do. Easy, easy, easy. And the truth is that it sounds like, oh, I'm lazy, I'm going to forget to do it. But once you start, it just becomes a habit. And it's the smallest thing in the world. You won't even notice that you're doing it. You'll just feel good about it. Like one of my coworkers, he always goes to the grocery store for Now Magazine to get our milk and stuff to load up the fridge. And you know, he says, I always feel guilty. I always get plastic. And I said, why don't you just bring a cloth bag today? And he got my own magazine. We make cloth bags to give away. So he brought one. He came back. He's like, Adria, this is the best I felt all week. I remembered to bring my cloth bag. I know it's a small thing, but it adds up. And so, you know, it's just a matter of habit. 3 small things. You can do it. I know you can. And then once you get comfortable with those, you move on to the next 3. So you don't want to stay status quo ever. You've got to keep challenging yourself.
The book is Ecoholic, your guide to the most environmentally friendly information products and services in Canada. There's a website too.
Ecoholic.ca.
And I've been speaking with the author Adria Vasil and Ecoholic, published by Vintage Canada.